People power growth, but recruiting and onboarding are expensive, exhausting, and absolutely overwhelming. I've been there, and it doesn't have to be this way. Welcome to Hire and Empower. I'm your host, Molly McGrath. Join me as we interview leaders who care about their teams and distill powerful lessons from them. This show is sponsored by H&E, helping organizations to find their best hire and empower them for success. Learn more at hiringandempowering.com. Joseph Warren, it is so lovely to have you here today and to see you again. Thank you for being our guest.
Thanks, Molly. I missed you since you were on my podcast.
Oh, you have the best background. I absolutely love it. And for our viewers who are not on video, maybe you're out hiking or you're exercising, hopefully, or however you like to typically listen to your podcast. We have Joseph Warren here from blowuprocks.com. You also have your first 100K. You also have Broken Catholic. And I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about you and your backstory.
It's a longer backstory. It's taken a lifetime of me carrying my own rocks, right? I used to be a very angry individual, but I contained it. I masked it. I masked that inner anger and rage. And, it served me well in business in my life. Like we did very well, I'm fast forwarding here, but like at 19 years old, I partnered with some guys and we built a $2 million a year business within the first 12 months. We did $2 million in revenue and we're like, what do we build? Let's do it again. And we duplicated that model in multiple cities. I was also a workaholic. So I worked 110 hours a week in that business in my early 20s. Well, that's not sustainable. Even with all the energy I had, and I had massive energy back then, Molly.
You still do.
Thanks. After 4.5 years, I burnt out. I crashed. I burned, and all the anger just came out. All that inner rage from childhood and trauma and things I had never processed, I just suppressed because that's what society teaches us, especially us men. Don't address it like it's volatile. Push it down, push it down. Time heals all things. That's a lie. Time does not heal anger. Time makes anger even more heated, more volatile, and it will come out. It will blow up and erupt somewhere. And typically it blows up in our relationships. That's where it comes out. And, I hurt many people in my life. I've had a history of a few successful businesses, but many failed businesses, but also many failed and broken relationships along the way. So this is kind of my backstory. Just obviously I'm sugarcoating the entire thing, giving you the 30,000 foot view. I'll go in wherever you want, but that's really why I'm doing the work that I'm now doing. It turns out I was my own client way back when. And also I was raised by a man who was a Marine, is a Marine still, my father, and he had a lot of contained anger. And Molly, it's the greatest thing. We'll get into it, but I just realized like a month ago, the clients I get to serve are my dad. They're my dad. They're versions of my dad. And I was a little kid back then when he was blowing up all the time at home and just rage and anger, and he didn't know how to process it. And so I felt like a victim and I couldn't control it. But now I get to serve those guys and help those guys to take that anger and use it for good, because anger is good when it's applied in the right direction, but destructive when it's not.
I can't wait to dive into this. Today, we're going to be talking about 7 steps to master anger and stress. And when I love it, you say your clients were your dad, are your dad, and you serve 7 to 9 figure business owners, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Wow. High profile.
Yeah, it didn't start that way. I started with the guys that were, doing less than 100K. And then as I started to work out the bugs in my own coaching, I started to attract guys doing 6 figures. Then worked out some more bugs, practiced some more. I started to attract 7-figure guys. Now I'm up into the 8 range and working towards the 9. So It's pretty awesome that I get to impact these men through one-on-one coaching, and now I'm about to launch group coaching, and to realize that the work we're doing in that sacred coaching container, Molly, is impacting all their employees
Mm.
in their companies, in their organizations. It's impacting positively all their customers, their vendor relationships, and most importantly, it's impacting their wives and their children. And that's just, I'm honored. I'm honored to do this work. Yeah.
Oh, and we're grateful that you're doing this work. You and I've been chatting, and our audience, by and large, are number one, business owners, successful. Many of them are in that range, a 7 to 9 figure mark, many not. And we also have our listeners that are employees of these very, do I dare say, anger driven attorneys. You and I talked about the makeup of an attorney. Makeup of an attorney, their greatest blessing is their greatest curse. They are trained to be aggressive. They are trained to be skeptics. They are trained to debate. They're trained to defend. It's interesting because right before this, I was telling you, God, the timing couldn't be more perfect, because I have a client that I am getting ready to fire. And because of, and we all talk about how, getting rid of your bottom feeders and firing your bottom 20%, what have you, extraordinary business model, extraordinary practice and team. But every single conversation we show up, this attorney, she is my employee just said to me, one of my recruiters said to me, every conversation we get in the Zoom room and she is looking for a fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about just, and again, the premise of this is not to shame or blame or finger point or put anybody in a box or container. It's to shine the flashlight on this conversation. I'm excited for you to walk through these 7 steps to give us something to really have that 2 millimeter shift. But talk to us about just, I don't know if it's in entrepreneurs or what have you, but how you say anger is not necessarily a bad thing, but how to really embrace it, know it, get intimate with it, and what to do with it.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we'll start with, before we get into the 7 steps to master your anger and stress, you really have to understand the problem before you get to the solution. We know this as business people. That's how you become successful. Whoever knows the problem best for that customer that they're dealing with, that pressing pain, typically can serve them best. So I think that's important. So I wanted to just go through the 7 deadly rocks that kill, I typically say men, but I'm going to say women and men, right? So that attorney client you're dealing with, she's dealing with these rocks. She's dealing with these rocks. I call them rocks, right? For your audience, rocks means head trash. It's those limiting beliefs that were put on us by others when we were little kids, those meanings that we gave, negative meanings we gave to meaningless events. Right, back when we were kids and we weren't fully developed with our own brains. And it's the things we do where we throw rocks at ourselves, the lies we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm a piece of crap, nothing works out for me. These types of lies, those are rocks, right? And then we have other people, unfortunately, that are hurt and broken from their childhood, that they throw rocks at us, right? So that's this attorney, every time she gets on the phone, she's got a handful of rocks she's ready to throw at someone.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the human condition. We're all hurt, we're all broken, and we're all got a pile of rocks and we're ready to retaliate. You throw a rock at me, I'm throwing it back at you, right? And this is the circle, and it's very unfortunate, right? And there's Christian biblical reasons for this, I believe, and I teach within my coaching. So I serve more the Christian husband, a dad and business owner. That's just my niche. But maybe some of your listeners are, atheist or agnostic. Okay, that's just where you're starting. I went through that journey myself. I gave up on God, even though I was raised with him for years of my life when I was in business. And I was angry, right? And I was away from God. I had deserted my family, everybody, and I was crushing it in the world. And I did. I crushed it. I definitely crushed my financial goals, but I also crushed all my relationships. It's because I had these rocks. So seven deadly rocks that kill us, really, right? The first types of rocks are mental rocks. So this is the stupid thinking that's holding you back and keeping you stuck, right? In your business, in your life, in your relationships, right? So it's very overarching, mental rocks. Then you got shame rocks. I spoke of some of my own. Shame rocks are those deep wounds from past trauma and abuse that are sabotaging all your relationships, right? We carry that guilt and shame like somehow it was our fault that someone broke our trust when we were kids. Like it's absolutely ridiculous that we believe this, but it becomes our truth when we say it enough times to ourselves, right? And then you got the third types of rocks are business rocks, right? So business rocks include imposter syndrome, right? That's big. You get to deal with a lot of that with your clients. I get to deal a lot with that with my guests on my shows. I've had guests that did six figures that come on my show, and I've had guests that did 250 million last year, and they're dealing with imposter syndrome. Everybody's going to find out I'm a fraud. I don't know what I'm doing. I got lucky all the way to the top. Like this is like rampant. So that's a rock, right, that they're carrying in their life that's holding them back. Self-doubt, procrastination, the lone wolf syndrome in business. These are rocks we carry. Like nobody else could do it the way I do it. I'm the only one.
Oh, I never heard that before.
No, never, never, right? So those are our business rocks, you know? And then we got marriage rocks. Marriage rocks, the real reason you're losing intimacy with your spouse, you know? There's rocks standing between you and them, right? And you don't even know it, and you keep stumbling over them. Every time you try to communicate, you're in a fight. What's going on? It's not your fault. It's not their fault. There's rocks. Let's get rid of them. That's what I do. I blow them up. I don't blame or complain. Stop complaining. Stop blaming. Let's go get the rocks. Get them out. And then we got number 5, parenting rocks, right? For your listeners that are parents, you got those beautiful little humans that are entrusted to you for the rest of your life. Like, come on. This is why you feel mommy guilt. You feel daddy guilt. Why you're not stepping up, you know, in these areas. And you just carry guilt and shame around parenting. Like, and you compare yourself to other parents. You got rocks in your head. Come on, let's get them out. Number 6, fitness rocks, right? We got rocks in our body. Let's be real. You know, for the guys I get to serve, you know, this is why you can't keep the weight off. You know, I got a lot of clients that come to me, man, they got dad bods like falling out their pants, like all over the place, right? So it's like there's a reason, and it's something inside your head that's keeping the weight coming back on every single time. So you got to get rid of those rocks. And then last but not least, number 7, you got spiritual rocks. Spiritual rocks. Why you feel disconnected from God, your maker, your creator, your source, and why you're often feel lost and confused in your purpose. You plateau and you're like, this is it? This is all there is to it? Maybe you conquered the business world like many of my clients, but you don't know how to use all the resources you've been given to now do good in the world. You're just like, oh, let me go make more money. I'm obviously good at this one thing. Let me just keep doing it. Right? Well, when's enough? You can't take it with you. You know this.
Yes.
Right? So spiritual rocks. So those are the 7 rocks. Just a recap: mental rocks, shame rocks, business rocks, marriage rocks, parenting rocks, fitness rocks, spiritual rocks. So to your audience, Molly, which of these rocks are you carrying right now? Which one is weighing you down and crushing you? That's the question I pose.
What if they say all 7?
Well, then, welcome to the human family. You're normal. You're normal, right? So what makes you different and unique is not the problems you deal with. We're all the same in our struggles. I see it time and time again with the guest I interview, regardless of status in life, regardless of faith or no faith. We're all dealing with the same rocks, right? Just different colors, different shapes, different sizes. What makes you unique and what makes you stand out is, what do you do about those rocks? Do you sit with them? Do you complain? Here's what most people do, right? Common strategies, especially men, right? For the guys out there, you're going to get this. Number 1 strategy men do: And women, you can relate to this as well. Okay, so put your hand up and identify if you want. Number one thing, here's what we do when we see we got issues like rocks we're dealing with, right? We do nothing. We do nothing. Oh, it's going to go away. Just give it some time. No, it's not going to go away. See, here's what happens. When rocks get thrown into your soil, spiritually speaking, you had good soil when you were a little kid, and then people threw rocks in it, right? They broke your trust, they hurt you, then you threw rocks in their soil. So we're all a bunch of adults walking around with rocks in our soil. Well, when you get rocks in your soil, it's no longer fertile. It's no longer fruitful. This is why you feel lost in your purpose. So we got to get the rocks out, right? So that's the first thing we do. We do nothing. I'll ignore the rocks. They're not there. Don't look at me, rock. Don't look at me, rock. Meanwhile, it's right there. We deny that we have rocks. We refuse to ask for help. Well, as men, we are definitely known for this. We just, listen, we're in a society where if you ask for help, it means you're weak. There's something wrong with you. Unfortunately, that's what the media pushes. Like, you got to have it all figured out, or at least make sure everyone believes that. So we don't ask for help. We try to work on the rocks ourselves. The lone wolf. I have so many guys that come to me and they're like, yeah, okay, I got this. I'm like, all right, so you want to work on it together? Get rid of these rocks? No, I just need to work on it harder. I got it. And I'm like, bro, how long have you been working on it? I don't know, like 10, 15 years. How's it going? Like, seriously. This is how we show up, right? We go to therapy to learn how to manage or cope with our rocks, but not actually get rid of them. We just live with them. We move them from one side of our back to the other, and we just go through life. We self-medicate to numb the pain. I mean, self-medication is rampant right now.
Yeah.
Man, so many clients come to me. They're on bipolar medications. They're smoking pot like they're 14 years old. I mean, and they're running 8-figure businesses. And I'm like, dude, how many times a day do you smoke pot? Oh, I got the vapor now, so people don't know. I'm like, it's like, dude, you're walking around with a pacifier in your mouth like you're a baby. Like, you need this pacifier to survive in your life. It's unacceptable. Let's go. Man up, woman up. Right? Or we give up, we quit, we accept our impending doom. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. It's pointless. I've been dealing with these things forever. My marriage isn't getting better. I know she's going to leave me. I know he's going to, cheat on me. Like, you just give up. This is not what you're meant for. You're meant for greatness. And then eventually, what most people do, they get divorced. They get divorced, right? Because it's easier to lose everything that you've ever worked for than it is for you to actually lean in and do the inner work.
Lean in. I love that.
Yeah. So those are the 7 types of rocks. Those are the strategies we do. And whenever you're ready, we can get into the actual steps to master it.
It's so interesting. You keep saying, well, and you're a male and you're speaking, that's by and large your demographic and one area of your practice. And I'm just thinking of some of the women people, especially in the legal space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about this a lot. A lot of my clients, I'd say 50-50, male, female, but now there's all this talk about masculine energy, feminine energy, all that. And by and large, the women in the business world, especially in the legal space, the blueprint and the framework that they were handed, every one of the things that you just pointed out, I know many of our listeners can resonate with, because now you have female, you have women, they're trying to survive and trying to thrive in a very masculine, male-dominated arena, especially in the legal space, but just in the business world, in the entrepreneurial world as a whole. And then that's the tonality and the energy and the foundation that women business owners are laying down. So then their employees under them and the people that work with them, and then their children, because I know I was everything that you just listed. there was a point that I was at that place had I not done my work. And I
That's right.
spend a lot of money and a
Yep.
lot of time doing a lot of work. And it's my favorite check to write every single month. And just really my spiritual and my journey of dealing with my rocks. And when you're speaking, I'm like, the women I'm working with right now, they're in a definite spiritual crisis. And they're definitely in a place of like incongruency. Like,
Yeah.
I have to show up like this. Like I am woman, hear me roar, if you will. Like
Hmm.
I have to, if I'm going to play in this space, very masculine dominated arena, I'm going to show up with, man, rock slinging like you couldn't believe, but you can see it in their eyes. And I know when I get them one-on-one and you sort of shine the flashlight, like, hey, this is kind of how you're showing up, why you can't keep team, why people leave, why you just mirror. It's like a fun house, mirrors everywhere that you go. And, I'll even speak for myself. It's sometimes like, it's hard to break through that and how to just like surrender.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it, Molly. Right. So that is the key work that I do with guys is I teach them how to surrender to someone who's actually in control and it's not them, right, of their whole life. Because I say it this way and I have fun. I'm a little control freak and it has served me well in business. I got to control people. I got to control situations. I got to control relationships. I got to control my little kids and how they're
Money.
growing. I got to control my finances. Man, I'm just like, I got to control everything. But yet I'm not effective in all areas, am I? No one
Mm.
is. Right? So, and then, you have things that are just realistically, objectively outside your control. Look at the pandemic that just happened. Right? All of a sudden, our control went to crap. Right? Or our pursuit of it, our pursuit of perfection. My life was going so good, Joseph. And then all of a sudden, this happened. Well, what are you going to do about it? Stress?
Drink.
Drink? Self soothe? See, when you have all that contained anger, it comes from loss of control. They're married together. When you feel out of control in different areas of your life, you get angry. Anyone does. It's not gender specific. So when you feel like your kids are not obeying or they're pooping everywhere because they're at that age, right? I have a 2-year-old and I have a 6-month-old, right? And what happens? They're not listening. You're constantly changing diapers. You feel loss of control as a parent. Well, it builds up, doesn't it? It stacks. The volcano, it's starting to heat up and you feel it. You're like, oh no, it's doing it. Oh no, the inferno's raging. Or at work, all of a sudden, a client's behaving a certain way that you can't control.
Yep.
Case in point. Well, I'm going
Yep.
to control something. I'm going to fire that person.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to control it. That may be the right decision or it may not be. Now,
Yes.
objectively speaking, it's probably a great decision. But what if, spiritually speaking, you're called to serve that person and
Yeah.
help her let go of all those rocks that she's slinging at the world that isn't serving her in her life?
Mm.
And she's going to end up very alone on her deathbed with a lot of regrets. What if you're called to serve her, to do higher work than just the monetary transaction? I
Mm.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just putting
Love
that
that.
out there, right? But so our loss of control causes the anger in us. And then, we pick up the rocks, we throw them at others, we throw them at ourselves. But it doesn't work. It never works. We just hurt ourselves more and we hurt others more. And then we lose it all. Everything you worked for is gone. You lose your wife, your kids, your husband, all of it. Or maybe your spouse stays, but then, you work so much because you're a workaholic, because you're a little control freak, right, with your finances and your business that, guess what? Your kids are teenagers, young adults, and they want nothing to do with you. You lost them
Mm.
because
What
you weren't with them when you had them.
What about our listeners? They're like, no, man, I got I haven't lost my wife. My wife and I are solid. They know they're carrying rocks. They know they're
Yeah.
slinging rocks.
Yeah.
They have this. Yeah, I can resonate with this. I hear you there, Joseph. But
Hmm.
I mean, the ones that are like, nah, I got it all over control. My wife will never leave me. I know I got this anger. I got it under control.
Awesome. Then all I have to say to you, brother or sister, is keep doing what you're doing. Let me know how it works out for you. Listen, because here's the thing. When you're showing up a certain way in your life that everyone sees but you, that's called a blind spot. I used to show up thinking I had it all under control
Mm,
until a few people that actually cared about me called me out.
yes.
They leaned into me because I wasn't leaning into me.
Oh,
And they said, Joseph, you have so many blind spots that you are one big blind spot. I remember that distinctly, and I took offense. I
what
didn't
a
like hearing
gift.
that. But what a gift, because when I heard it from multiple people who didn't know each other, well, shoot, now I'm going to start to pay attention. They all can't be wrong. I'm the common denominator in all of this feedback. All right, maybe I want to look. I don't want to look. It's scary in there. There's a lot of rocks in that soil. Stuff I haven't dealt with my whole life. And I was in my 40s at the time. Like, are you kidding me? I don't want to go back and dig up rocks. So for your listener right now who's saying, Joseph, I got this. All right, great. You're carrying the rock of denial. You're carrying the rock of pride. Guess what? You got extra rocks. Good job, buddy. Like, listen, you got to get through those rocks first and get to a place of crash and burn and bottom out like I did and many of my clients have before you're actually ready for the coaching. See, you're not ready. You're not. And it's not terrible. It could end tragically for you, but I was there and it's worked out for me. It's not too late for you, but the right time is always now. See, I believe, I'm a man of faith, yeah? And I believe when God shows you something, like he shows you a rock that's in the soil, your immediate instinct is to push it back down. I don't want to deal with it right now. I'm too busy. I got things to do. But the reason why God's showing you that rock is because he wants it out of you. He's saying, son, daughter, this is the next thing I want out so that you can be free and step into the plan and the purpose I have for your life. So the very thing that's irritating you right now, that you don't want to deal with, is the very next thing you must take on. You must blow up that rock, or you just go back into the cycle. And around you go, getting the same results year after year, complaining in the same way, just to different people, because many of them got tired of hearing you not do anything about it, and they
Ooh,
left.
love it. Wow. Talk to us now about the 7 steps to master anger and stress. And I love those 2 words together because I don't know a single human or entrepreneur that cannot be like, oh, those 2 words. Talk about weighted rocks.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you can see I occur very light and hopefully happy
Yes.
and joyful. And, I'm not faking it. Like, I really feel peace and purpose right now in my life. Like, I am clearly on purpose. But before you get purpose, you got to get the peace. You got to get the anger out. You got to get all the rocks out. So many people are like struggling. I don't know my purpose. I don't know my purpose. That's because you haven't dealt with your rocks. You're an angry,
Oh,
miserable little person who goes home every day. You kill it in business and then you go home angry, stressed, and miserable. Even though you're making more money than 98% of the human population. What's the point? Right? So you gotta get to peace before you get to purpose. And the way you get to peace is to get rid of the rocks. Okay? So we're gonna teach you how to do that right now. Let's go, Molly. Let's go. By the way, I'm not from the Northeast in case you picked that up. Okay. All right. The first step to master your anger and stress. And yes, you have it. Just like Molly said, every human being should get punched in the throat when we say anger and stress. Oh, okay. Yeah. My
Yeah.
wife, my husband, they've been telling me about it for years. Okay. Now I'm going to actually do something about it. All right. Stop making resolutions, people. Make commitments. There's a distinction there. I resolve to do this for the new year. I want to. I may, I hope I can. A commitment is like, no, that's it. I'm done. Enough is enough. It's not working. This is insanity. I keep getting the same results. I keep complaining about the same things year after year. Enough. Line in the sand. Let's go. All right. So the first step, and write this down if you have a pen and paper.
Yes.
Because you're going to want to refer to this. Outrageous ownership. Outrageous ownership. And I'm just going to read to you right straight from my book, okay? So I don't botch it up here. This is you saying to yourself, I take extreme ownership for the life that I've created. No one else is to blame. Let me say that again.
Please.
I take extreme ownership for the life that I've created. No one else is to blame. Not your wife, not your kids, not your husband, not your business partner who screwed you over back when they did. No. You take extreme ownership. You allowed it. You tolerated people to treat you well. You tolerated people to mistreat you. You must take just this outrageous ownership. I face and embrace the consequences of my decisions. I will not try to escape my life ever again. This is the lean in that we spoke about. Like, you got to accept your situation, and you got to accept and own your part in it. When you do that, the freedom begins. Until you do that, you're a slave. You're a slave. You're a slave to your own misery. You're a slave to your own rocks. And you're a slave to just hurting yourself and others for the rest of your life. So that's the first one, outrageous ownership, the first step. Step 2, after you own and accept your situation and your part in it, then you must take radical responsibility. Radical responsibility. Well, what does this look like? Well, I will do whatever it takes to create workability in all areas of my life. And I accept that no one is coming to save me.
Oh. Wow.
If you're listening right now, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to accept that no one is coming to save you? Stop dumping all your money on all the gurus, motivational speakers, the next coach to help you cope with your stuff, to move your rocks in different arrangements, but not actually blast them out permanently. Like, stop. What are you doing? It's not working. You got to create workability in your life in the areas that aren't working. All right.
Oh my goodness. I got to say something about that one.
Go, Molly, go.
I can't tell you, myself included, when you're a lifetime learner, when you're a deeply curious person, when you are on a path of growth, I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs, clients, attorneys that I talk to, and they have 4,000 coaches, all these different programs that they're writing. It's like rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic. Yeah. It's that one right there. So often I'm like, wait a minute, what does this coach do? What is that? What? We
have coaches for every rock in our life.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Instead of just having one coach that shows you how to get rid of all the rocks. Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah. I heard this statement on a podcast somewhere and I loved it this week. It was one coach, one approach. And I loved that.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because it's very similar to the path to success in business. One direction with no distractions, right? Don't chase the shiny objects. Don't chase the next coach lining up. Find the best of the best in the area where you need the most help in your life.
Oh.
Work with them. and then do the work. So many people give up on the coach and blame the coach. Oh, the coach wasn't working. No, you weren't working.
Oh, do the work. I love that. It's like this. Yeah, wow. There's some cool name you're gonna have to come up with, this coach hunting. Yeah.
Cool. All right, step 3
Three.
to master your anger and stress, people. Let's go. Loving leadership. Loving leadership. What is that? Well, leadership means this, and I coined this definition for leadership. I think just from my own life and experience in running multi-million-dollar businesses down to just over 10 failed businesses I've had to broken relationships, the one thing I've seen when I've run teams successfully and when I failed miserably and pushed everyone away from me, kind of like your attorney client. She's about to push you away from her, and you could be the best thing for her, right? The one thing I learned about leadership is this. It's 3 words definition, a 3-word definition. If you get this, people, you get leadership. Leadership means you go first. You go first. I'm
Oh,
telling you, it applies to every area of leadership. I was successful in my first business and building my teams and doing 2 million and then scaling into multiple cities, 2 million every city or whatever, right? The reason I was successful is because I always led by example, right? I went first. When people did, I was in direct sales and marketing and fundraising and all that. And when people, my team, I had 50 employees, right? And when my team didn't hit their goals for the day that they committed to that morning and they came back at 5 p.m., I went out for what we called night work with them to help them hit their goals. I said, nah, we got to keep your commitments. So I'm going to go first. Let's go. I'm going to show you how to get the rest. Right? That's just one example, right? And maybe in your organization, you are that servant type of leader, but maybe at home you're not. You know, for all you Christian husbands out there, I'll speak to you specifically. Everyone else, hold your ears if you're like, I don't know. Right? But to you Christian husbands, I hear over and over again, Joseph, my wife is just so much more spiritual than me. She's just so good at it. So I let her lead all the spiritual stuff for the family. She does the praying and stuff. She's just better than me at that. That's a cop out. That's not you being a leader. That's you being a follower and putting leadership on her that God didn't put on her. He put on you, man. Like, man up. All right, so leadership means you go first. All right, so for example, well, Joseph, I don't know how to, lead spiritually or lead whatever. Great, then get the training you do and get the tools and the resources you do. Go first. Get the coaching you need. You go first. Stop asking your wife to get better. You go first. You deal with your inner rocks and blast them out of your soil before you pick out the ones in your wife's soil. Like, seriously, you go first. Stop telling your team to get better if you're not. You go first. All right, so that's loving leadership. You go first, right? So leadership means I go first. I will put myself at risk, not my wife, not my kids, not my parents, not my siblings, not my friends, not my employees, and I will do it today. I'm going to put myself on the line. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to take the chances. That's loving leadership.
Mm.
Was that clear, Molly?
Oh, it's so clear. I love that. I'm just even thinking of conversations that I've had this week, and it's only Wednesday with various people, and bitching and moaning and complaining and upset about their employees or whatever. And if just those 3 words could have flipped the script for that. There's a saying I always say, so go the coach, so go the coachees.
That's
And I mean, just even think about that. The example you use, every listener, whether they're an employee on the front lines that's doing intake, or they're attorneys, Salesforce, marketing, whatever it might be, and not making the numbers, and you doing the night shift with them. You go first. That was almost like a mic drop.
That's exactly it, right? Because listen, even if you're not the owner of the company and you're sitting there thankful that you have a job in the company in the pandemic, good job being grateful. Good job. All right. But then you're complaining about it. You're murmuring constantly. You're gossiping about all the problems, all the people that are problems in your organization. What are you doing? What are you doing to go first to resolve those problems and create solutions and create new possibilities and workability where there is none? What are you doing? See, that's leadership. So stand up and lead. Every person, every human's called to lead in these areas of their life, at home and at work and in ministry. Yeah. All right. Number 4, step 4. Molly, you mentioned that you were just ahead of everyone. Look at you. Spiritual surrender.
Oh,
Spiritual surrender. This means simply, I give God total and complete control over my business and my family. I am only responsible, ready, for my actions or inactions. Outcomes and results belong to God, not me.
oh, say that one again.
You got to, right? You just got to say this one 2 or 3
Say it
times
again.
because it's got to land on your heart. And I'm telling you, when this one landed on my heart, Molly, I got so much less stress in my life. When I realized I didn't have to control the outcomes and results in the meeting I'm heading into, or the phone call I'm about to take, or the podcast I'm showing up on right now with the great Molly McGrath, and I can just do what I teach, a surrender prayer, before I get on the show and relinquish all outcomes and results to God, and then just show up and enjoy myself and serve well. And it goes however it goes, and I'm at peace either way. Well, man, woman, when you can show up that way in your business or at home, in all areas, and just say, I am responsible, full ownership for my action in the situation that needs action, or my inaction in the situation that needs action. I'm responsible for that and only that, but not how it turns out.
That's like just a deep breath.
Isn't it? Didn't it just take a rock off your shoulder? Think
Yes.
about it.
I
You feel a
actually
little
took
lighter,
deep
don't you?
belly breath. Yes.
Yeah, because something just came off of you. This weight of responsibility that doesn't belong to you. And for all the Christians out there, I'm going to say it this way. It's going to sting for a moment. When you try to control the outcomes and results in your relationships, in your situations, in your life, in your business, you're stealing from God. You're stealing from God. God controls the universe. You don't. You're not Him. Stop playing God in your own life. Stop playing God in your family. Stop playing God in your marriage. Stop playing God in your relationships. Stop playing God in your finances. You're not Him. That's why it's not working. You don't actually have that power. You just have the desire to have the power because we're greedy little control freaks too. Right? Just the human condition. We got a fallen nature. It's what's so. All right?
Greedy little control freaks too.
I'm speaking about myself, of course, right? Nobody else listening right now. Listen, Molly, the reason why I use levity in my coaching, and maybe there's a listener, this guy's so unprofessional. He's just cracking jokes left and right. These are very serious topics. Well, listen, if you knew anything about education and learning, you would know that humans learn best when they're laughing, when they're having fun. So I want you to retain this. That's why I'm making you laugh with my funny, silly accent.
It's great.
All right, number 5, step 5. You people ready? You doing the work here? Let's go. Bold belief. Bold belief.
Say it again.
Bold belief.
Okay. Old belief.
Okay. This means I place all my trust unreservedly in God's providence and His biblical promises. I'm talking from a Christian lens right now. If you're not Christian, don't worry. You'll get there eventually. I'm just joking. I don't know where you are. All right? Wherever you are is totally fine. You're still loved. The King of the universe is my Father. Therefore, it is unreasonable to doubt, complain, or worry about the future.
Doubt, complain, or worry. Write those 3 words down and just stare at them.
Stare at them. Okay, let me say that again, okay? If you're a believer and you believe that you are a precious child of the King of the universe who created all life, authored all of it, everything around you, and he's in control of it all, and we already learned you're not, right? You're not God, okay? He is, and he's your father because he said so, and he claimed you and he adopted you. Well, then, because of that, it is unreasonable for you to doubt, complain, or worry about your future. Because then you don't actually believe that he is God, and he is your father, and he loves you. Because if you're a good parent, and you have children, and you love them, do they need to worry about their future when they're little kiddies? No, you got it all, right? You love them, you protect them. You feed them, you clothe them, you provide for them. Where do you think that good parenting desire came from? You? Nah. You're made in his image and likeness. That mommy gene, that father gene, that nurturing, loving desire within your heart that's good, came from him. So how much more is he going to love you and protect you and take care of you? He already said it. You just need to believe it boldly.
Bold belief.
Boldly believe it. That means ignore the fake evidence that the enemy's showing you all around you of the impending doom and the finances, and it's all going to crash and burn. Molly, I'm going to give you a real story. Can I give you a real story?
Oh, yes, I love stories.
All right, it's recent, all right? It just happened. I made a decision, right? I like to rent, right? So I like renting my homes and stuff like that, right? And because I value my time above money, okay? So I don't want to deal with home maintenance and hiring people and all that stuff for regular taking care of a home. So I'd rather just pay a landlord and they take care of it. Anyway, so I made this decision that was good for my family because I have a grown family. We got 2 little babies, right? And we're like, hey, let's go even bigger, a nice bigger home. All right, cool. So anyway, I made a decision. I won't go into it, but my landlord took an action that I did not see coming. And it put me in a very hot spot of stress. And we had 40 days to look for a new place to live. And we're in the Tampa, USA real estate market, which is the fastest growing city in the United States, I believe, right now. And we got all the people from California and New York all coming down here. And they're coming loaded with money, right? So they're driving up the real estate rates and everything. Anyway, bottom line is this. I couldn't get a realtor to get back to me if I could hand them $1 million. Nobody would get back to me because they were getting 40 offers within an hour for every property that's listed here. All right? So it put us in a very tight situation all of a sudden. Now, 40 days to find a new home in a regular market, okay, yeah, that's workable. In this real estate market, unworkable situation, not enough time. So all of a sudden, I was completely at peace. God's got us. He's going to provide an awesome home. It's going to be bigger and better. Everything we prayed for, I can't wait. You know, my wife at peace or whatever. 7 days before, Molly, we need to be out. This was March 1, by the way. I'm sharing a very personal, recent thing. This was March 1 of this year. And we had to relinquish keys. And I got a wife and 2 little babies. And I don't have a home for them, Molly. I got money, but I couldn't get a home even with the money. It was ridiculous. And I'm like, God, okay, now I'm going to stress. And I remember it was 7 days before March 1. I had a full day of stress. It just hit me. Like all the evidence of what if you don't get a home? What are you going to do? And I sat in that and I just accepted the situation, felt it all or whatever. And then I woke up the next day and I surrendered it all to God, right? I'm like, I don't want that rock. Don't even put it on me. These outcomes and results belong to you. I'm taking the actions. I'm going to the showings. I'm looking for the places. Boom. I'm doing my part. God, you take care of it. Right? So I put my trust right back in him when I was doubting and wanted to take back control. Like, I got to fix this. It's a stressful situation. Only I can fix it, right? So 4 days out, we get it home, right? And we're like, oh my goodness, thank goodness. And they send over the lease to me, boom. And I get it at 10:30 at night, Molly. And, like, why do you open up an email at 10:30 at night, Joseph? That's a bad decision, right? It's either going to go well or not go well. And I'm like, I want good news. So I open it, and they doubled the rate that they committed to. Doubled the rate, because greed is rampant right now in this real estate market, because they could get whatever they want for just about any property. They're 3 times the prices now, values. And I was just like, God, are you serious? I got 4 days. We need a home. Seriously. Do you got this or not got this? Right? So I had some human doubt here, and I teach this stuff. All right. So I was being tested and stretched. That was a gift from God to me. So many times we don't see our adversity as a gift. But that was a stretch, because he wants me to go further and bigger and have more impact and serve more people. So he needed to stretch me more so I had more capacity to serve more and take on more clients, because I'm about to go to group coaching and take on tens of thousands of men.
Right.
All right. So here we are. I'm on the lines, 4 days out. Boom, I go to bed, wind knocked out of my sails, Molly. I was done. I was like, tomorrow is day 3 countdown, and I don't have a home for my family. I woke up the next morning feeling defeated and depleted. And my wife's like, honey, I was on Zillow and I saw this house. It's a little drive, but she responded. She said you could come see it today. And I was like, fine, give me the number. And I'm just like, probably another disappointment. Whoa. I called, I drove there, and I secured the home. 3 days out. And it wasn't until 2 days out that we actually got a signed lease. So I could have lost it. But here's the point. That bold belief that God will not abandon us when we put all our trust in him. And my people, I had 30 people, friends and family at our church and stuff, praying for us. They love our family. They love the little babies. And they're like, we don't want you to be homeless, even though you got money. You're going to be homeless. What's your plan B, Joseph? What's your plan B? This is what bold belief looks like. I looked at them and I said, God is my plan B. And he's my plan C, D, E, F, and G, all the way to Z. I don't have a plan B but him. So he better come through, because he promised he would, and I'm all in. That's bold belief. And because of that belief, he did. Now, I had some human doubts along the way I shared with you, but I want to share that story. Nobody's immune to self-doubt. I know this stuff. I teach this stuff. I've cleaned up my life, but I still struggle with it. All right, step 6 and then 7. Here we go. Let's pick up the pace here. We got time. All right. Powerful perseverance is step 6. Powerful perseverance.
Okay.
Now, maybe you're hearing this and saying, Joseph, but I hate persevering. I just want instant results. Okay. But that's not how the world works. It's how it works on social media.
Yeah.
But not in reality. Powerful perseverance. This means simply this. I wait patiently on the Lord, on God, to bring me his best. His best. As I wait, I am brave and courageous, trusting that God will not fail me. We just spoke about that. I gave you a real example, and he didn't fail me. God is always faithful. We're not. He is. To receive God's best, I must pass the test. To receive God's best, you must pass the test.
Ooh.
Many of us don't want to take tests anymore. I did that when I was a kid. I'm done with my testing. Nope. God has plenty of tests left in your life. They're gifts to stretch you so that you can so he could give you what you've been praying for, more impact, more meaning, more purpose. You want to serve more people. Well, he's got to build your capacity. Where you're at right now isn't enough to hold that. So if you want to be raised up by God, you got to be stretched. So if you want God's best, you must pass the test. And step 7, finally, eager expectation. Eager expectation. You notice all the play on words because I like to
I
do that.
love it.
All right, easier to remember. Eager expectation, right? So this means have the eager expectation of a child. Like when my daughter, Alora, it means God is my light. Alora, her middle name is Love. Alora Love. Isn't that just so
Oh,
sweet?
beautiful.
When my daughter, Alora, Molly, comes to me and says, Daddy, banana, banana, please, please, banana, she will haunt me and follow me around that house until she gets a banana. Because she eagerly, with a smile on her face, expects me to give her a banana. Why would Daddy withhold that from me? I want it. It's good for me. Daddy's going to get it for me. Right? So she's got bold belief. She's powerfully persevering around the house, chasing me.
Oh,
And
boy.
she eagerly is expecting Daddy to give her my best for her. All right? So it means simply this. I expect only good things from God because I am his child and he loves me, just like my daughter knows this. I expect miracles because I believe that everything is possible with God and that I can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthens me. Let's go. This is
Oh,
eager expectation, people. All right. So now, if you're not a Christian, okay, you could still apply these principles. It's okay. We're all in different places in our spiritual journey. Like I said, I went from Christian to agnostic to atheist and then back to real Christian, real faith, right? Real surrender. All right. So wherever you are in your spiritual journey is totally fine. Totally fine. But you're not called to stay there. You're called to keep going on that path, keep growing. I hope that served your audience well. So the 7 steps recap, we got step 1, outrageous ownership, radical responsibility, loving leadership, spiritual surrender, bold belief, powerful perseverance, and finally, eager expectation. Actually believe it's coming to you.
yes.
When you put all those things together, your life goes well, people. Mine is.
And you exude it. I can, regardless of your faith, you can unpack every single one of these. I could give live examples with your team, with your business, with your money, with your relationship, all the things that I know that our listeners struggle with, whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, attorney, business owner, what have you. So if the Christian faith does not resonate with you, do not shut down.
That's
Go
right.
back and replace it with whatever you need to, whatever that is, and apply it to the rocks that you're carrying around right now. I love this. Tell us quickly about your book. What's
Yeah.
your upcoming book?
All right, so I just pulled a lot of it from there, but there's so much more goodies in here, people. You want it. I know you want it. All right, so it's called Peace and Purpose, How to Master Your Negative Emotions Without Therapy or Counseling. Because let's admit it, nobody wants to go into therapy and counseling. We don't want to pay someone to fix us.
Right.
You can get this out yourself. I'm going to help you. It's an easy and proven way to eliminate anger and stress in 90 days or less, guaranteed. That's my commitment. Guaranteed. 90 days or less. All my clients do it. I did it. You're going to do it too. Go get the book at freepurposebook.com. Freepurposebook.com. That means the book's free. Just cover the shipping. It's yours. We'll send it to you. Congratulations. And then, for those guys out there that are you're killing in business, you're crushing it, right? But you need to get your house in order at home and in your business, maybe. Or you just feel confused in your purpose and you're making the 7, the 8, the 9 figures. If you want to work with me, go to blowuprocks.com to learn more. Blowuprocks.com. Let's blow these suckers up, people. Right? And then, of course, if you want the one-on-one for you elite badassery men, go to freepurposecall.com. Freepurposecall.com. I'll give you 30 minutes of my time free of charge to really get clear and identify the rocks you're dealing with, a game plan and strategy blueprint to blow them up together. And then we'll see if we want to work together, yes or no, right? And I only take on 12 clients a year in that capacity. So thank you, Molly.
Great.
You're the best.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate trying. Listen, if you are not on your computer, we are going to go ahead. You're not seeing the background. You're not on the video. We'll have all the links in the chat, and make sure you go and get your free book. Just pay for shipping. Joseph, thank you. Thank you for being a difference maker. Thank you for being a leader, leading leaders. And thank you for this extraordinary episode. I know I'm going to go back and listen to it.
Thank you, Molly. May God bless you, protect you, and expand and multiply your efforts in this world. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Grateful. We've reached the end of another impactful conversation on the Hire and Empower podcast. Whether this was your first episode or you're a longtime listener, I know you can tell I have passion for people. Whether you're a business owner, employee, executive, or hiring manager, I understand the situation you're in. Hiring, onboarding, and leadership is expensive, exhausting, overwhelming, and if that's not enough, it's also time-consuming. My friends, it doesn't have to be this way. There is a team at H&E that has your back. For over 25 years, they've transformed over 4,000 law firms into efficient, effective, profitable assets for their business and made it fun to come to work again. Check out our Smart Hire solution, our employee leadership program, and the 66-day law firm turnaround at hiringandempowering.com.